time to see where I wanna be, where I wanna be. My baby girl a message saying I won't be coming home, rather be alone. She doesn't fully understand me, 'cause I'd rather leave than to cheat. She gives me some time, I can be the man she needs, but there's a lot of lust inside me. We've been together since our teenage years. I really don't mean to hurt her, but I need some time to be alone. But when you love someone, you just don't treat them bad. Oh, how I feel so sad now that I wanna leave. She's crying hard to me. How could you let this be? I just need time to see where I wanna be. I don't mean to hurt you, baby. Oh, no, no. Never did I imagine that you would play a major part in a decision that's so hard. Do I leave? Do I stay? Do I go? Think about my life and what matters to me the most. Girl, the love that we share is real, but in time your heart will heal. I'm not saying I'm gone, but I have to find what life is like without you. But when you love someone, just don't treat them bad. Oh, how I feel so sad now that I wanna leave. She's crying hard to me. How could you let this be? I just need time to see where I wanna be. But when you love someone, just don't treat them bad. Oh, how I feel so sad now that I wanna leave. She's crying hard to me. How could you let this be? I just need time to see where I wanna be. Say when you love someone, you just don't treat them bad. Oh, how I feel so sad now that I wanna leave. She's crying hard to me.
Word on the street is you gave Miss Walker
And I
papers
just
in.
need time to see.
Well, I wanna be the man that my daddy raised me to be. My mama taught me to be. See, baby.
am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, Internet, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse, powered by For All Nerds, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is one of your hosts, Tatiana King, a.k.a. the coldest winter soldier ever, a.k.a. Wicked Witch of the West View, a.k.a. Fax the Destroyer, a.k.a. Texaract Thompson, a.k.a. the life and times of Sharon Carter. And, per usual, I'm joined with my very cool co-host.
As always, it's your boy DJ Ben here on the spaceship. Let me run through these AKAs because, as you know, it's the Black Adam Warlock, Lieutenant Good Trouble, the Off-White Panther, the Power Toker, John Walk It Out, a pimp named Sam Wilson, the Sad Titan, Hank Grimm, here in the spaceship tonight.
Good job on the Hank Grimm. I know you were thinking about that one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And everyone, as mentioned, welcome back to Views from the 616. We are here to talk about what if. But before we get into things, I want to say first, thank you to everyone who has been joining us on the Twitch, twitch.tv/forallnerds. You know we love you, the fan fam in the Twitch chat. We love you and support you just like how you support us. And we are in the chat right now hanging out with you all. Make sure you are following us. I think at the very least, in order to even talk in the chat, you have to be following us. But if you can, make sure you subscribe as well. And if you are a Amazon Prime subscriber, you get a free Twitch sub of your choice every single month. So please make that be For All Nerds. Would appreciate it. And make sure that everyone knows about the Loot Crate promo we got going on. If you use the code FANSHOW15, you get 15% off your Loot Crate subscription. And I think this might be your last chance today, if at all, to get this month's subscription. I don't even know if it's...
might be tight.
They'll get a couple of days. It might be tight for you. But, this is the August Loot Crate. What do you have there?
I do have the 4 different Guardians of the Galaxy I guess statuettes, figurines would be the word.
Okay.
Basically, what you get in your Loot Crate is one of these joints, I think. I'm not sure if you get all 4, but you get one, such as your boy Groot here. I am Groot, looking really fire.
That looks really good. So you mentioned it looks more like comic book accurate.
Yeah, these are more the comic book accurate versions of these characters. That's Groot. And then over here, we got your... Who is Gamora, who looks definitely very
Why is Gamora?
Why is Gamora? Where is Gamora? All that good stuff. There you go.
Yeah.
Little
Excellent.
comic book Gamora.
So you can get Groot, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, and Star-Lord. And then if you get all of them, you put it together and it becomes one giant Guardians figure.
I think
like an amalgamation of all 4 of them put together, like a fresco.
Yes, like a little, diorama, I think is the word.
Got it.
I'm not sure how to connect, but yeah, something like that.
We're getting right into the business of the hour with our review of episode 3 of What If, titled, What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes? And the basic plot is, what if the first set of Avengers caught the fade? All of them. Now, Ben, the one thing I will say about this episode that was interesting is that this goes along the lines of what you've been expressing about the What If series, the comic series, how they're a lot darker than people realize. And this was one of those super dark type of episodes. That being said, it also was not my favorite episode. I actually felt bored a little bit. And I would say in the first couple of watches, it felt kind of empty to me, just in terms of this wasn't exactly like a retelling or a repositioning of a character or a mantle. It was, well, what if that nigga just don't exist because they got murked? And so I was just like, okay, and it just didn't lead up to anything. However, as I thought about it more, I said, okay, maybe this is just the foundational piece. Because as we know, What If has a bazillion episodes. Mm-hmm. Some have already been shot. Season 2 is already greenlit. That has at least another 10 plus episodes. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is just foundational because they're going to be, what if the world lost Mightiest Heroes Part 2? where it's going to be a continuation of the story. As we see, just about everybody gets the fade except for Captain America, and then of course Captain Marvel gets called back. So you have these two, which are inevitably going to assemble new heroes.
Yeah, I still think that's the end of this one, though. I do not think
if it kind of feels like a waste of time. It just didn't feel like a super compelling story for me.
I think what this one is and what these first 3 episodes, we'd already seen the first 3 episodes. This is the most that I've seen of the series now. I've not seen episode 4
Same.
or anything past it.
Neither of us have.
Yeah, we'd both seen these episodes. And so, when you see them all back to back like that, all 3 of them, this is clearly the weakest one. Like, I mean, at least in our opinion, it seems we're both unified on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But upon review, especially the second time I watched it, it is just like what I told you the comic book is usually like. What if somebody didn't get murdered, or what if somebody did get murdered, and how does that affect everything else?
Right.
That is usually the comic book. What if Uncle Ben didn't die? What if the Punisher's family didn't get killed in the park? What if, Elektra had lived? What if, when she died in the comics, Elektra famously dies, when she's in love with Daredevil. She's killed by Bullseye. So that, ruins Daredevil after that.
Got it.
So those type of things. And so this episode really went straight down that line of, what if the Avengers got murked? And so while it wasn't my favorite, I did enjoy it. And I think it's more of like what you said, of a foundation, but in a different way. I think it's a foundation so that you understand, because like the first episode had straight character swap. What if she was Peggy was Captain America, and what would happen, instead of Steve? Second one is a completely different,
approach
story. Everything changes because T'Challa becomes Star-Lord. Because of that, all these different things, no Infinity War ever happens. Thanos doesn't go after the gems, et cetera, et cetera. While this one is the third type of story. Yeah. What if everybody just gets murked?
Right. And it's interesting because this doesn't even get to explore, what are the real consequences of that, right? You just see, and that's why I'm saying I'm hoping, to me, it would be stronger if it is indeed a foundation episode for future continuation of the story, because it's like everything else is just, I understand it's all about imagination and making you think about, okay, so if this happens, what else doesn't happen down the line? Or what does happen down the line that is changed? What happens differently? Like in this one, you say all these people die, whether that means perhaps those events of Endgame and Infinity War never happened because those people never existed in the first place. Or maybe it does happen in a different way. Like, that's cool to have that conversation, I guess, in your head. But just based on the other two being like really full stories, this one just felt a little emptier for me.
This one feels a little emptier. I fully agree with that. But at the same time, it's like the other ones were missing a lot of story too. It was like what happened on Earth because Black Panther wasn't there.
I guess for me, the other two, it was fun to think about it after the fact, right? After you dived into what they did give you. They gave you such a robust story thus far. I didn't really have a question of, like, unless you sat there with me and wanted to continue on, I didn't really have a question of, well, what's happening on Earth? I didn't give a fuck at that point, right? I'm like, yo, T'Challa out here saving the planets and doing all sorts of cool shit. And he has fucking Thanos as his buddy, fucking purple, dinosaur next to him. And, you just think like I'm so worried about other shit. I'm not thinking about even what's happening on Earth. This one, I'm like, okay, and? All right, you killed my niggas. And? It just, and when I say empty, I didn't feel like the others, I didn't feel any emotional attachment to what occurred. And I know these characters, they're just different in a different form. They're in animated form, but these characters. Obviously, there's the heart and soul of Chadwick Boseman you have in episode 2. But even if you remove that, it just had more heart. The episode itself just felt more heart and emotion driven. First episode, same situation, and you could attribute that to both the strength of the characters of Peggy and Steve. I just didn't feel that with episode 3.
So you had no sympathy for Hank Grimm.
Hank Grimm.
You had no sympathy for him.
Nah, in fact, I was just like, nigga, that's the reason why you decided. I felt like Nick Fury, nigga. So you took it upon yourself to kill everybody because you mad, because you and your feelings. It just didn't make sense to me in that way. didn't connect with the emotional push for him to do that. His motivation, I was just like, I know you mad, fam, but what does this solve? What does, like, really? And to me, it's just Hank Pym's smarter than that. What does this, I mean, okay, he wasn't in a revenge state at one point in his time. We know that. But like this?
I mean,
like that?
He got stopped from getting there. That's the thing. And I will say, like I've talked about this before, is that this is more the traditional comic. And this sometimes was what the comic was one of my great joys, was getting to see these characters off in the most ridiculous ways. Like.
And these ways weren't that ridiculous. And maybe that's why I was just like.
I mean, Hulk exploding was pretty ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. But like, I was just like, wait, what? And I think you had said that before we started recording, Ben. Like, you actually, upon the third watch or second watch, you found it funny.
Oh, the second watch, I found this whole episode pure comedic, like pure comedy throughout it. Like the fact that I loved it because it was like all the different ways that they'd interacted with these characters before, like the little Easter eggs, which I know once again all the videos will be pointing out, but like just the fact that it's Black Widow sticking Tony in the neck and then Tony just dying, and then it's the fact that. Your boy Clint Barton, Hawkeye, sitting in the cell afterwards, like, I never slip, I never misfire. And he just
man's was slumped.
I mean, Thor just caught a bad one. Like,
no witnesses.
Like, son, that nigga was about to reach for the hammer and 99.
And the way they did it was it was very Disney. Yes, it was very Beauty and the Beast when the Beast got shot. I was just like, wait a minute. Like
the silhouette, they cut to the silhouette.
And I did not go back and watch Beauty and the Beast, so I don't know for sure. I'll know when we finish finish recording. But something, as soon as I saw that, I was just like, did Prince Eric just die? Like it was just very Disney tragedy the way it happened with the thunder and the lightning and beautiful hair and as you say, the silhouettes of it. So. Again, I could see the funny part of it, but I didn't get the heart part of it. I was just like, all right. Was I surprised when Tony caught the bad one? Right, of course. Because I was just like, I don't think that was supposed to happen.
Yep.
But then like everything else progressively happened. I was just like, why?
That was something else that why I started finding it funny in this episode. The second time I watched it is the Watcher. Shout out to
that he was just there watching all the bullshit going down?
No, I mean, he always does that. That's the thing. But in this one, he was like a little bit snarky with it. Because he was like, at least that's how things played out in this universe. He was
like, oh, that was a bad episode.
Yeah.
Bad season. That was a bad season of Earth.
He was like, this was definitely the darkest timeline
Earth
over
season
here.
Season 7.
Yeah, it did not work out.
But let's talk about that, right? The seasons of Earth. We talking about this episode actually is an amalgamation of several MCU films.
Mm-hmm.
The events of Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, and Thor. Now Iron Man 2 was back in 2010. The Incredible Hulk actually starred Edward Norton as Bruce Banner / the Hulk, and I actually really loved his Bruce Banner. I mean, I never really. I don't know anybody who had like an issue with him like that, but I liked Ed Norton as Bruce.
I did too.
Yeah, that was back in 2008, and then Thor, which was 2011. And as we learned in this MCU timeline of things, that the events of all three of these films in MCU canon all happened within a week.
Yep.
Within the same week.
Mm-hmm. That's been the case, and there's even I'm not sure if it's been put on Disney Plus yet. There's a short film, because there's 2 short films starring Coulson, right? Mm-hmm. But there's one of them where he goes to get that coffee that you see him driving up when he drives back up. Yeah, there's one of the short films has that scene. He goes to this little diner and a dude walks in there with a gun and tries to rob the place, and Coulson serves him.
Okay.
But recently they did put The Return of the King, which is one of the other short films that if you're getting ready to watch Shang-Chi, make sure you check that out as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
With all this stuff happening within a week, this also gives some power to the idea that Fury has, right, of building an Avengers team in the first place. Like, everyone knows there's these extraterrestrial and random threats all over the world, but to see these 3 major events of these 3 individuals, these Avengers happening within a week, that also shows the outside, the regular people on Earth that, hey, man, we really do need this team, or the governments. Hey, we really do need to have this team come together. You see all these extra type threats that us humans can't take out on our own. We need the help. So, and the way this is set up, it helps him. And as I mentioned, these 3 films are kind of all lumped into one within this episode of What If. And the other big difference is by the end of all this, you end up getting Loki proclaiming himself as King of Earth, which is what he's wanted to do in so many different timelines, and has, as we know now, has been scrubbed from that by the TVA, or pruned from being able to do that by the TVA. And what is your take on all this? Just the way that the timeline is situated in this episode, Ben?
I mean, it's interesting. So this episode does end with Loki being ruler of Earth, right?
Yeah, that's why I took it. That's
yeah,
how I took it.
And it's like Fury is leading the Resistance, trying to wake up Cap, and he's got Captain Marvel now. And I mean, yeah, this shit is dark. Like I the more I think about it, the more I enjoy this episode because
really,
because it's so ridiculously dark. Like it ends with Loki ruling the Earth. Sure, maybe the TVA, maybe I mean, who knows?
Where is the TVA? Where's the TVA in all this? Right? They okay with this version?
No, okay. Once there it is. I got it. Because remember, the TVA at this point is now Kang the Conqueror's TVA, which doesn't give a damn about Loki.
This is true.
There you go. So in the multiverse, Loki can win and do whatever he wants. Oh, much better for Loki in the multiverse, though.
That's interesting because that's what Miss Minutes said when she tried to bribe essentially Loki and Sylvie. When she was just like, we could make it so you both can exist in timeline. You can have anything you want. Remember, she said, "What if you want to be king of Earth?" So,
Well,
so basically, that's your point is, Kang was like, "Well, if that's what you want, I can make it happen for you, bro."
Yeah, I mean, you can have one in this multitude of multiverses because eventually I'm gonna come through and conquer that joint too. So it's like, have your fun for now, bro. Be king of Earth, king of space.
Right.
Look at you, big dogging it. You finally made it.
So you have these, besides just some of the story of all of these 3 films being put together, you have shot-for-shot recreations along with verbatim lines from all 3 of these films being placed within this What If episode. For example, you have that scene of Iron Man sitting in the Randy's Donut sign. That conversation he has with Fury inside the store, that's almost verbatim the same conversation he has in the film, in the Iron Man 2 film when Fury comes, and as well as Black Widow shows up. Black Widow jabs him with the needle. That all actually happened, and I put the 2 side by side, and it's like almost beat for beat.
Except for when he starts choking out.
Except for when he dies, obviously, yeah. Even when Thor goes to the base to retrieve Mjolnir, like same things, shot for shot almost. And the fight that Hulk has when he turns Hulk and he jumps off the, I guess that's a bridge that the students walk through, that walkway bridge. Same thing. This literally almost same exact location on the university where he turns into the Hulk and then he starts fighting Ross and Ross's troops and whatnot.
Yeah, so like in that universe, where is the Abomination? Because he shows up a few minutes later and Emo first takes the drug or whatever and injects himself at that point and fights the Hulk one-on-one as a man.
Right. Well, what you just said brings up an interesting conversation / argument that I have with a good friend of mine recently, where we were trying to, during the argument, it came to the point where we were trying to understand with these What If episodes, obviously the way the Watcher has set it up, he said there's a single point or a single decision that changed the direction of this timeline, a nexus event, if you will. Are we to understand one of 2 ways? Method 1, that these timelines are essentially the same as the main MCU times, meaning everything happened the exact same way except for this one decision, which branches off to different things? Or is this a totally different timeline where any number of variables could have also changed?
I'd go with any number of variables could have also changed.
So, for example, what you're asking about Abomination, how do we know Abomination would even exist at all?
Because something else could have happened where where General Ross didn't let him take the serum, or he got shot and died before this. Anything could happen. Because
my theory has been with these What If episodes that these are, forget just the one single difference. These are solely completely different timelines DNA-wise from the sacred timeline. That's how I've been coming at it, which is why, for example, if we go back to episode 2, the argument that we had was that he said, why would, what did he say to me? He said, why would Howard Stark have that type of technology in the 40s when in the movies he had told his son to build the arc reactor and all that because they didn't have the technology back then. And my argument was, well, this could be a totally different timeline from the main MCU that you know, which means things are absolutely different.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like, yeah, you mean in episode 1? Like, why did he build?
Episode 1 rather. Thank you.
Why did he build the iron? The Nazi stomper, the Hydra stomper.
The Hydra stomper, right? Because in the films, he said he didn't have the technology to build something like that. But
they didn't build an arc reactor, and they did they used the cosmic cube, which Howard Stark didn't have access to.
Right. And
that's a whole other change. Howard Stark having access to the cosmic cube.
Okay.
Yeah. So
all
everything, it's not just one little inflection. It's everything potentially from the beginning could be different, or it could be one little inflection. You know, that's the other thing. It could be one of both, you know. Like in that one, it was that moment that made her Captain Carter, but it also was other things that led to him having the cosmic cube.
Yeah. And I think it was a good conversation because I also think that's the prism, as the watchers say, in which you should look at all of these stories, right? Like, could you allow for creative license that there could have been any number of things that are different in this timeline than you know in the sacred timeline?
I would hope they do, because I would not want it to be limited to something like that. Because I don't want, that's just a thing with writing in general and creating. I don't like rules. I know certain things you got to have rules for it to make sense, but I just don't like rules like that. And I think, though, even the ending of Loki, and I think we spent a lot of time talking and thinking about it, but I've seen that a lot of people have different ideas about exactly what is happening right now. But like what I've been saying, and I think we agree on this, is that the ending of Loki said that Kang is now the ruler of the TVA, and the TVA is not as concerned with keeping one timeline anymore, because Kang is the conqueror and wants many multiverses to conquer.
He want to fight. He want to throw hands.
Yeah, he want to see who won it. He want to see who won this beef. So he's like, whatever. Like that's why when they were like at the end and the timelines were splintering, they're like, did he want all these things to timeline, to splinter at once? Not that it was splintering, just that it was so many at once. Was my take.
Like,
and
all
so
the possibilities are great for him.
Yeah. So at this, what I'm saying because of that is that what we're seeing in What If. We're seeing this multiverse now, where we're just seeing all these different branches that could have branched off at any point, that might have multiple branches within a branch, et cetera, et cetera.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you. I just wanted to bring that up because I just wanted to see where your head was on that. And also for our listeners, just how you explore watching these episodes and what you allow for creative license for. Continuing on with what I mentioned about this episode having elements of the other films, as we mentioned, Loki proclaiming himself king of Earth at the UN. That's actually pieces of that speech is the exact same one he gave during the Avengers film, the 2012 film. If you want to go, it's around minute 39, where he commands all of the people in the opera, whatever that show was, everybody was at, whatever event that was, when he told everybody to kneel and he gave them that "you were meant to be subjugated" speech, word for word, line for line, bar for bar, same shit.
And then Captain America, or no, Iron Man shows up and says something about the last time people told these people to kneel. It's like making a Hitler reference.
Captain America shows up because it seems like perhaps a survivor of Auschwitz or someone actually shows up, right, and says something to that effect. And of course, Captain America shows up to do the propaganda and all that, blocks, blocks the Tesseract's beam and all that.
To throw his mighty shield. And all
we get it. Yeah. And as we say, the main thing that kind of stays the same is that Nick Fury, he still finds Captain America. Captain America is still found by S.H.I.E.L.D., I should say. And also what's a little slightly different, where we know in the MCU timeline, the sacred timeline, Nick Fury paged Captain Marvel during the end credits of Infinity War, right before he was Infinity Faded. And this is the same pager he's had since the 90s that we learn about during the Captain Marvel film from 2019. And as I think about it, even though I still felt this episode was emptier emotion-wise, I do like how they looped in so many different threads from the different films.
Mm-hmm. I liked how they looped in so many threads from the different films. And then even, I really liked the sequence when they had the Hulk fight going on with Loki coming at Nick, and just the escalation, the tension rising right there with everything going bad at once. I really liked how they cut back and forth between that. That was some really dope editing.
Yeah. And with with everybody else taking the hit, like just the way, like when Fury went down the list of everyone who got murked, I was just like, damn, Hank Pym really killed a lot of motherfuckers. He killed Tony Stark, Iron Man. As we see, he's supposed to get that jab of like lithium dioxide or something like that to help with his situation with being poisoned. But instead, he is just poisoned and killed. Thor catches the bad one with the arrow to the heart, like from Beauty and the Beast. Hawkeye, he just randomly gets slumped with like a
shot through the heart.
With like an invisible cyanide pill situation. Black Widow, I assume, gets beat to death. You see her.
These hands.
She, to death. Bruce Banner, as you said, he kind of has a hilarious, ridiculous type of death where he explodes from the inside out. And I assume just puffed into nothing because there was no blowback like you would think, guts and whatnot. He just poof disappeared.
That man turned into goo though. I was really hoping to see the shot of them like swiping the green goo off of them.
Oh God, like a Ghostbusters or something like that.
Yes, like the Ghostbusters. Yes.
I was just like, oh my God, and then they had to have Betty say you were supposed to live forever or something. I was like, bro, don't do this.
That was my favorite part because right before that, my man's Bruce is like, no, I'm basically immortal, and I was like, oh, shout out to Immortal Hulk. And then he went right through that green door. For those who have read Immortal Hulk, maybe he'll be back later, but right now,
he's gone.
He's gone.
He got the true death.
Yeah.
And in that, as we said, we just have Captain Marvel and Captain America left. As we see Nick, he says, "Welcome back, Captain." It's a double entendre because he's actually talking to the both of them. But this also will result in a different permutation of the Avengers. And for those who read the comics, Ben, you're the main one who always taught me. There are so many different combinations of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like there's a million different things where it is the case that the Hulk and the rest of them are not part of it. I think even the MCU version is a different version of a lot of the stories.
The MCU version is pretty close to the original lineup of the Avengers. And it even came together through the same thing. The original lineup of the Avengers was... I don't even think Captain America's in it until like the 4th issue, but it's like Hulk, Iron Man.
It is the 4th issue, yeah.
Yeah, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and who am I missing? Because it ain't Hawkeye, it ain't Scarlet Witch. They all come later. They're like issue 16. Hulk, Iron Man, Thor on that cover. Is it Wasp and Ant-Man, right? They're Wasp and Ant-Man. They're both in it. Yeah. So that's the original lineup of the Avengers, and then Captain America joins the 4. Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye in 16, and on and on and on, and everybody.
And then Black Panther and everybody.
Everybody. Black Panther actually turns down membership in the first time. He's like, get the fuck out of Wakanda, keep it moving, and he goes back to Wakanda and leaves them in the dust.
And if you were an animation watcher like me, like watching Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Oh, so good.
Again, same people that Ben Amin just mentioned, people that come later. So just even the team up itself is kind of all over the place depending on what story you're watching or reading.
Can I say once again, another thing that I just found absolutely hilarious. It was like Nick Fury had all them logos made up for all them dudes. And so they put them on their coffins. They're like, yo, we already paid the graphic designer, fam. Like, you know what I mean?
We can't let these graphics go to waste.
Like they straight had logos on their coffins. Like, who's gonna see it, dog?
Ben, they did not want to waste their marketing dollars, okay? They had to use it for something. They're gonna do memorabilia too, after death memorabilia.
No, because nobody knows these niggas.
True. And that's the thing. That's fucked up, then. Why you gotta be so fucked up, bro?
Like, Thor didn't even pick up the hammer. How you gonna have a hammer as his logo? He didn't even make it that far.
Well, let's talk about that even more because these people never even made it that far. We don't even know your name. In the words of Korgoth or Korath. Who? No one knows these people yet. Like Thor hasn't made his mark yet. Iron Man. Iron Man had made his mark by then because we're talking about this is Iron Man 2. People know who. If everyone knew it was Tony.
Yep, you already said that. Yep.
But like you said, all the rest didn't come to fruition yet. So what are the implications thereof of Earth's Mightiest Heroes not being around, at least the original set not being around. Yes, obviously this means we're going to have a different team up, but what combination of new people we're going to have? Like, for example, with Hank Pym being the mastermind behind all of the killings and then being taken away, does Scott Lang Ant-Man show up?
No.
That's
a done deal. Yeah.
Does Black Panther still show up? Like, these are the questions that this is implying. These are inferring. This episode is inferring, rather.
Well, Black Panther only shows up because he thinks Bucky killed his dad.
Where's Bucky? Now, remember, this one, they're just now defrosting Captain America as opposed to him being defrosted by now. So how does that, like, are we still having this Winter Soldier situation? Like, what's happening?
Well, Cap being defrosted is still about the same time.
About the same time?
Yeah, because he gets defrosted after Iron Man 2, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Captain America leads right into the Avengers, as far as, like, the timeline. So
okay, so does that
mean,
one. And as we said, things could be totally different this time. So does that mean, Bucky still gets found later as all discombobulated in the head as Winter Soldier?
Well, there's also no Tony Stark to be mad about Bucky killing his parents. If he did kill his parents in the timeline, Tony's dead, so no one's gonna come after Bucky on that one.
Right, and that's what I mean. I was just like, that's all this episode gave me. Like, okay,
yeah, I mean, but that's how some of these are. It is just like, niggas die every day, B. And that man Fury said, I don't give a damn about any of them.
Another change, like, for example, at this point, and since Loki's already king of the world at this point, Thanos wouldn't be working with Loki to get the Mind Stone, right? He'd be working with his Ronin or whoever he's fucking with right now.
Yep. Yeah.
There would be no Thor to protect Asgard during the whole well, not protect, but save the little bit that it could save during Ragnarok. So
L's for everyone.
Ultimate level, extinction level event for everybody. I mean, none of that shit happens.
Ain't no Thor to stop the Dark Elves either. What?
Ain't no Hulk to fight with in the Ragnarok on the planet with the Game Masters. Oh, I mean,
what happened to
the Grandmaster? Not the Game Master, but the Grandmaster.
I can't remember why the Dark Elves showed up. It was probably Thor's fault, so they might not even show up.
I thought it was Loki's fault. Everything's Loki's fault, apparently.
It was Thor's fault in the first one. Thor is definitely all at fault in the first Thor movie.
Right.
Like, man, starts everything off.
Right. So there's basically an infinite number of questions, which, again, that's what pissed me off a little bit. I'm just like, okay, so it's an infinite number of questions of, okay, so how does this change everything? But I guess I just didn't feel the full impact of it because you didn't get a chance to, like, see it through. Which is why, again, I think maybe there's more story to it. But also, it gives you questions like, what are the constants, right? Does this change anything about the existence of people like Wanda and Doctor Strange? People who are like those ultimate level beings or moving towards that ultimate level being.
Yeah. And it's not even that it changes things for them. They probably still end up existing one way or the other. But I don't think the MC, like, that's the thing. People get, I think the Nexus being and all that stuff is yet to be defined. Okay. I think even Doctor Strange and the madness of the multiverse and even Spider-Man Far From Home are going to have like different takes on this multiverse thing. So I don't think that what we know is what it will be or what, I just think right now, just trying to enjoy it for what it is and, see where it goes. Because
like start from the beginning.
Yeah, because if you're trying to be like, well, in the comics, Wanda is and Nexus being, and it means that, I don't think it's to mean the same thing in the MCU. Right. Whether or not she is Nexus being or whatever, I don't think it's just to mean it's that same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So going at this episode, instead of trying to make at least from a trying to understand it, it's on this show, yes, we're going to make the comparisons and have the conversations. But as a brand new viewer, like say you had no idea about the MCU, right? This would be your clean slate on a different path of all of these stories.
Yeah. I mean, I think
this would be a clean slate.
I think this like, especially this episode though, it'll hit so less like, we barely had an emotional connection to it. So if you just see these dudes get murdered and you have no idea who they are, it's going to mean nothing to you. It's just to be like, whatever, like this episode, like a lot of what if it does depend on you having the prior knowledge of the MCU. Like we talked about how we can't even do a plot breakdown for most of these episodes because you have to know so much about the MCU already. It's like, you can't even just be watching what if. Like when we're doing Loki, if you're just watching Loki along with us and we do a plot breakdown, the characters from the last episode. So you're like, oh, okay, this is where they're at now. Mm-hmm. But there's no last episode of What If. It's just different every time. And it's like, this plot is Hank goes ham and murders everyone.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't get you to where Loki takes over the world. And this was like one of the more simple ones where we probably could have explained it in a plot. But like the T'Challa one, it's just forget it. Like, unless you know, and even knowing the history, it's difficult because it's so different. I wonder, I'd like to see if there's anyone out there who hasn't watched the MCU who is like starting on What If. Cause
that's a fucking place to start.
That's a fucking place to start. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like anyone would, knowing that you have Disney Plus to get What If, so you can go. You know, you can at least be like, well, let me go watch a movie. You know?
Yeah,
yeah. That would be a weird place. Like,
but you have to have that. But you have to have that thought, right? Like there are going to be people who have known nothing about nothing. It's like, hey, let me just watch this to see what's going on.
Yeah, maybe they want to watch the animation. Maybe they're just animation heads who only watch animation out there, and they're just like, nah, I must. You know, this is the only way I'll watch the MCU.
You're gonna have quite a time.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting ride. That's gonna be a ride for you, boy.
Yeah, as you heard, I didn't really say a themes of the episode because this episode didn't have. It had some themes, but not anything so concrete that we could really, at least me, that I could really place them.
Grief leads to bad choices.
Maybe. LSD is a hell of a drug. All sorts of things. But I guess the main one that in my head was just avenge the Avengers. Because again, just niggas just kept getting murked left and right. And it just seemed like everything was all centered on vengeance. As we end up finding out when it comes to Hank Pym. Like, he essentially expresses that his whole motivation for his action was that he felt S.H.I.E.L.D. used his daughter. As we find out in this version, this timeline, his daughter Hope is killed in a line of action. And this time, she's actually a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and she's killed somewhere in the Ukraine. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But that thing that happened, that drove him to madness, I guess. And in his head, Hank's head, S.H.I.E.L.D. took everything from him. Like, not only, at least in the movies, not only has his wife, who was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, not only did she pass during some type of mission, now his own daughter passed, and it seems like S.H.I.E.L.D. is responsible for it. As he says, quote, S.H.I.E.L.D. took everything from him, and he felt that S.H.I.E.L.D. had been filling Hope's head with lies about being a hero, and that S.H.I.E.L.D. was exploiting Hope missing her mother, which is why she ended up in the situation she did.
Well, yeah, I mean, like that's why I say I think that this one of the themes of this episode is that grief makes you do bad choices. I mean, Loki always does bad choices; that's his thing. But he's also grieving over his brother in this episode, so that's why he also, steps up his actions.
Yeah, I understood Loki coming through.
Yeah, definitely understood Loki.
Yeah, and that's actually, there you go. That's the theme, Ben. Grief driving terrible decisions, or decisions that will forever change the course of history. And it just seemed so wild to me that, and I mean, when you think about it, like that Hank even had that type of power to do all that, but it's just like. What, Ben? It's like, is that OD or?
Long time comic readers will know that Hank Pym is a grimy ass individual.
Okay.
Who has done a lot of grimy-ish.
So this isn't so wild out of character.
All right. Well, Hank is there's a famous panel of the Avengers from back in the day where Hank slaps Janet, and
his wife.
Yes. And it turned into a whole thing,
domestic violence?
Yeah, domestic violence, and he gets kicked off the Avengers, all kind of bad shit. They did a divorce, it's bad.
Damn.
And then in the Ultimates comic, when they were modernizing the Avengers, they had Hank and Janet go at it again. And in this one, it's a full 2 or 3 pages of them having a full-on brawl where they are both fighting each other.
Like in their suits, or they like just boxing in the street?
They're at the crib. They're about to go out for dinner. Hank accuses Janet of flirting with Tony and some other stuff. She calls him a bum ass scientist who can't come up with shit other than.
She called him a bum ass nigga, a mark ass buster. That's what she said.
Yeah, she said, why don't you go make yourself small again? Because that's all you can do. So they go at it. It is a full-on fight. But at one point, when she shrinks away, this man, Hank, first he sprays her with, like, Raid or some stuff.
No, you didn't. No, he did not.
Yes, he did when she shrunk down.
This is Maury. This is Maury's show. Oh, my God.
And then, it gets worse. Then she tries to hide from him in her small form. and he, because Ant-Man in this universe, well, he can do it in that one. He puts on the helmet and he summons a bunch of ants and they attack her. And she's tiny, so they're,
Yeah, they really.
and they F her up, put her in the hospital, and then Captain America finds out about this. Actually, it was Captain America who was flirting with Janet. So Captain America finds about this, and the ultimate Captain America is a bit more of a dickhead than the Cap we know. Hunts down Hank Pym and busts his ass, and then Hank does the whole giant man on him. Cap still busts his ass. Bust his ass. I mean, that issue is epic because it's Brian Hitch on art. It's like an incredible bid screen fight, and Cap busts giant man's ass.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's that's what I mean. This is not out of Hank Pym's stuff, dog. Hank Pym is a grimy dude in the comics, and they've tried to redeem him and stuff, but it's like that is all. I mean, it's like once you slap your wife in a comic book, people will never forget that ish.
Hell no.
Yeah, that's it. So
all right, so this man is grimy, so this isn't beyond him. I mean, first of all, I want to talk about the way he was drawn because he was just so disheveled and raggedy.
Stressed.
And I was.
My man was dog. Your wife and your daughter. And Nick Fury is a grimy individual. This is not like something, news or anything. This ain't newsflash over here. Like, we know Nick is grimy.
Right.
So your wife and your daughter got dunned off by this man.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is more of an Easter egg reference, but when Hank does mention about Janet being killed, well, he doesn't mention that. It comes out later. I forgot where exactly, but it comes out that Janet was killed back in the, some odd years in the Ukraine. That's actually, if you reference back to the Winter Soldier movie, and this is back in 2009, Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, she was actually tasked with escorting a nuclear engineer out of Iran. Upon them reaching Odessa, Ukraine, they were attacked by Winter Soldier. Long story short, Winter Soldier ended up killing this nuclear engineer. So if you wanted to try to combine the timelines, you can say technically it may have been Janet who was killed by the Winter Soldier.
But wasn't Janet killed or shrunk into the other universe on that?
But remember, this is a mixture of things. So who knows? You can say that this is what happened if you want to make some type of connection. And just in terms of how it's different from the comics versus the MCU, like in the MCU timeline, Hank and Janet were agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And she was killed, back in the day. And I guess this is them saying, well, here's one version of where she was killed and why she was killed.
Sad.
And after, first of all, when everyone was killed and it was driving towards the whole mystery event, did you already know it was Hank?
No.
All right. I had no idea it was an Ant-Man related situation.
Yeah.
What did you have any thoughts of who it could be, or were you surprised when they revealed it to be Hank Pym?
I had no clue of who it was gonna be, and I was kind of like, what the fuck when they revealed Hank Pym. I wasn't like, oh, okay. Like I said, I do know that Hank, gets underestimated, and like that's why I like they showed you how powerful, shrinking and growing can be. That's such a powerful. I mean. Oh, wow, right?
Yeah, wow.
Well,
wow.
I mean, hey, that's what she said.
That one.
Yeah.
You stepped right into that one. Remember, I am very childish. So, continue, sir. Oh, Lord.
Well, I'm just saying, it took a lot of balls for Hank to pull this off. And speaking of balls, support for For All Nerds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Look, we might be in the multiverse of madness, but that doesn't mean your sacred timeline shouldn't be pruned free of variance. It was a lot of close shaves for Captain Carter in this episode, and she shouldn't be the only one. Take 20% off and free worldwide shipping right now with the code For All Nerds at manscaped.com. Yeah, I mean, it took a lot to pull it off. And like I said, it showed the power that Hank Pym possesses. Let me put it like that. So we don't walk down that road again. And it was just dope to me to see, all these people get murdered off in such ill ways, Like Like, I know you didn't think it was that ill, but I thought, him going into Tony's bloodstream, Hulk exploding.
And
Thor just catching that L was just,
Thor, and that's what I'm saying. I know Thor's not invincible, and especially at that point, he was without Mjolnir, so he wasn't imbued as Thor, right? He didn't have the Thor god powers, right? Because he got cast down to
whoever
Earth.
holds his hammer
Right.
possess the power of Thor.
And Thor at the time, if you follow the timeline, he got cast down to Earth because he pissed off Odin, and Odin was like, "You need to go find your life." And he, and at that point he didn't have that power, so he was just a normal man. So and I forgot that point. So when he just got shot with the arrow, I was just like, how? I was just like, there's nothing saving this nigga.
Oh, you almost had it.
But yeah, you got to think about that. This is before anybody really established themselves as who they were, right? Like besides Hawkeye and Natasha.
Oh my God. And then Hawkeye didn't really establish himself at that.
He was
the
always,
man who murdered Thor.
I guess what I'm saying is he was always a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, since at least in the meantime he was always S.H.I.E.L.D., as was Natasha. They were still in place. Nobody else was.
No, nah. Like
Tony was still drunk. Like, come on, like he was still drunk Tony. Like he was nowhere near where he needed to be.
Yeah.
So.
But now at least we don't get Ultron. No Ultron.
That's all you care about.
There's benefits to all these monsters dying early. Is all I'm saying.
And this is just goes along with what you said about the Avengers being monsters, Letty.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I said, I know it was Loki as Nick Fury who said, "I don't give a damn about any of them," but that was Nick Fury too. Like, come on.
So that, for example, like with the whole Ultron thing, if Ultron thing don't happen, that means nothing happened to Sokovia, which means there are no Sokovia Accords because. Yep. That required the Avengers to be there and cause that problem in the first place, which also means if Wanda and them is still around, that means her brother Pietro's still around. That means them niggas didn't die. Like, it's so many people that did not die.
That means, what do you call it? Westview is saved from her terror because, her brother ain't dead.
The WandaVision series doesn't happen.
No.
That means Vision's not around either, right? Because Vision was born of Tony Stark.
Yeah,
and all of Tony's experimentations.
and all the
Jarvis.
fucking around, Yep, nope, no Vision.
Shit.
Yeah, Wanda just lives a normal life, doesn't marry that man,
That man. Well, as we're talking about these characters, let's go into them. Nick Fury, voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. Great to hear his voice. I didn't have anything particularly remarkable to mention about Nick Fury, just that he was Nick Fury.
The fact that he don't waste $1 with those graphic designers is, that's pretty much all I got to mention.
Hank Pym was actually voiced by Michael Douglas.
Yes.
So he came back and did that. Yeah. Tony Stark, Iron Man, was he was actually not voiced by RDJ. He was voiced by another voice actor. Thor did not have any speaking lines, I don't think. So we never even heard his voice. Mm-hmm. Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner. Black Widow, unsurprisingly, not voiced by Scarlett Johansson. She was actually voiced by Lake Bell, who she's also a prominent voice actor. And interesting, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, was voiced by Mark Ruffalo. The reason why I say interesting is because this version of the Hulk is supposed to be from The Incredible Hulk, which was played by Ed Norton.
Damn,
so technically that's a whole different person. Like they basically Rhodey version 1.0'd him. Like, he don't exist. Let's let the new guy play him.
That does not look good for our hopes of bringing Terrence Howard back.
I know, but I want him to come back so bad.
It does not look good for them hopes, man.
Yeah. Agent Coulson came back. Everyone loves Agent Coulson.
Yes.
Voiced by Clark Gregg. That was him. He was backity back.
Hold on. We got to talk about Coulson being a straight up simp. Like, what was going on?
With the whole Steve Rogers. They said so. In order to get into the files, Black Widow asked Agent Coulson for his password, and he don't want it. He's very reluctantly want to give it to her, so he does. And it's like hashtag I love Steve. It was like 0704, which I think was Independence Day, right? Like 4th of July. Steve Rogers is the best. Some bullshit. I'm like, wait. This is kind of stalker, sir.
And then the fiending over, Thor's hair and Thor, like.
Well, I thought someone said something to that effect in the movies. Like, someone just said that he had really good hair. Or he was really pretty or something.
That goes back to the Infinity War when the Guardians find him and they're all like, "Oh my God, look at this man."
Okay.
But it was just weird for Coulson, like.
Why? I mean, I don't think it's weird. Coulson's a simp. This is the same guy in the Sacred Timeline that has baseball cards of everybody, or of Captain America at least.
Yes.
So, I mean, this man is a simp. He's a fanboy. That's what he does.
I feel you.
I mean, was it worse than Korath being on, T'Challa Lord's DICK? Like, I don't think so.
No, not at all. It's just different. I just like when he was. I expect him to simp over Cap. I did not expect the simping over Thor too. That was like, I was like, damn.
He just told it like it is.
You
like
an equal opportunity simp.
Thor is a beautiful man. So
yeah, I mean,
said what he said.
Sure indeed.
Any other comments you want to mention about the characters, Ben, or lack of character?
No, great job by Clark Gregg as always. Though he's incredible as Coulson. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a fantastic show when it was.
When it was. And
I didn't
say the way you said it.
I didn't say every episode was fantastic. I didn't say every season was. But when it was. No, there were like 2 or 3 seasons in a row where they were like the best superhero show on TV easily. It was on fire. And then they lost me towards the end, and I never went back. But for a second, they was running things.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to the end of where we talk about our Easter eggs, inspiration, and music. There are 3 movies and even pieces of the Avengers thrown into this episode. So lots of callbacks and references to different scenes in these films within this episode. We mentioned a lot of them at the top. There's even one like the diner that someone ends up in a diner. I think it's Coulson. Like, I think when he got the coffee and all that stuff. And it's the same diner that Thor was like having his episode in the Thor movie. When terms of more Easter eggs, when Black Widow is searching through those login files on the Avengers project, she sees everyone who's accessed that file. And you see Agent Coulson, you see Fury, you also see Janet Van Dyne, which tips her off that someone else is in the system because Janet died 2 years earlier. Who else would have her login except for her husband? Mm-hmm. You also see Maria Hill, who we also know as, the top agent next to Nick Fury. And you also see the profile of Alexander Pierce, who in the MCU movies is later found out to be a Hydra agent embedded within as a high-level officer of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And do they mention Robert Redford's character, or was that Pierce that they mentioned when they're taking Black Widow?
They mentioned Pierce. He said, I'm gonna take you to Pierce, or I'm gonna have to talk to you about Pierce, something of that nature.
Who played Pierce?
Isn't that Robert Redford? Alexander Pierce.
I thought that was Robert Redford. Not 100% sure on that, but so yeah, Redford isn't a Hydra agent. Was he?
It's well, first of all, Alexander Pierce is 100% was a sleeper Hydra agent, just embedded within there. As far as who played him, Robert Redford did play him.
Redford was? Oh yeah, he was. That's right. Because at the end of Winter Soldier, he tries to flip out and gets the L.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, Robert Redford. Huh. Yeah, no Redford in this episode, unfortunately.
Yeah, and there are some other Easter eggs just about like certain characters reprising their roles. Again, I mentioned a lot of the actual actors do the voices of the characters. But besides that, you also have like where different music that plays, like on that scene during that Randy's donut scene. It's the same music that plays in the film. You have the Avengers theme you hear at one point when I forgot the exact scene, but the Avengers theme plays. There's a few other themes from the films that are placed, themes or even actual music that are placed directly in the same spots in this episode.
I see. We see the Destroyer in Loki's army, the Destroyer from Thor 1 and also from the comic books. I guess the Hank suit resembling Yellow Jacket made sense because Yellow Jacket was the suit that Hank had created, right? And then Cross stole it from him.
Yeah, like, and in the comics, wasn't he Yellow Jacket for a little bit at some point?
Yes, he actually becomes Yellow Jacket after he slaps up
Okay,
Janet.
so when he on his grimy he's on his grimy shit. He's on his bullshit, he's Yellow Jacket. Okay.
I think he comes back. What it is I think the nigga the nigga leaves the Avengers as like Goliath at that point. Because first of all, Hank Pym had so many names. He was Ant-Man, then he was Giant Man, then he was Goliath. And I think when he leaves the Avengers, he might be Goliath, or he had one other name that I'm probably forgetting right now. Twitch.tv/ForAllNerds, if you know, help me. But after that, when he comes back as a new dude, Yellow Jacket. And he's like, yo, I'm not Hank Pym, dog. I'm Yellow Jacket. Know what I mean? I want to join the Avengers. Yeah, I
I'm
shrink.
not black, I'm OJ.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I shrink. Yeah, I got all the same powers as Ant-Man, but nah, that ain't me, dog. This is Yellow Jacket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for a while, I'd never read these comics to this way before my time, but I think that he was on the Avengers as Yellow Jacket, like, and they did not know that it was Hank Pym.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, comics.
Okay. Comics, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, comics,
Lots
everyone.
of drugs. Also, we have there's the scene when Black Widow goes to university to talk to Dr. Betty Ross, and she notices the Stanley's Pizza hat and shirt on a table.
Aw.
That is actually the same hat and shirt that Ed Norton wore as a disguise in The Incredible Hulk when he was hiding out. And it's also an audible nod to Stan Lee. Stan Lee's Pizza, Stan Lee.
I think they did the same thing, and I think that's what his pizza shop was called in the Spider-Man PS5 game. He was because Stanley owns a pizza shop that Peter Parker and Mary Jane visit. It's one of the most touching and probably one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos of all time, because he tells them, "I'm glad y'all got back together. You two were always my favorites."
Right in the heart. Right in the feels.
He created them and he made them fall in love.
He's seen them fall in love in real people. So cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's Spider-Man. It's everybody. If y'all ain't played that game, still go play it. It's a goddamn heartbreaker so many times.
It is a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
And we also have Coulson continuing on his journey of mentioning all sorts of pop culture references. He does this everywhere he is. He always does a pop culture reference. He's big on that. He should go to Jeopardy at some point. But he makes a Lord of the Rings reference when Loki and his army shows up. And, of course, he's trying to explain what they look like, what he sees. He says Middle Earth is there.
They do. I didn't realize they said it, but they straight up look like the elves of Middle Earth. Their
Straight
armor is the
up.
same golden with the horns. It's straight up like
Straight
the
up
elves.
Middle Earth. Straight
They're
up
ready
Middle
to
Earth.
go to Helm's Deep.
For real, for real.
For the battle of the 5 armies, baby.
Yeah. And then you also see Sif is there.
Yep.
And the rest of the warriors are there, I assume.
Real quick. Yeah, no, you see Big, what's his name? The voluminous. Volstagg. You see him, and you see when they do a side shot and you see his big ass.
Volstagg, Fandral, Hogan, and Hogan.
Hogan the Grim, Fandral the Dashing, and Volstagg the Voluminous, because he's a big man.
The voluminous or the volume?
Voluminous.
Oh, the voluminous or the voluminous? Whatever.
Voluminous, yeah.
Whatever.
Big man. Big man.
That's such a cold fucking street name, right?
It is.
It kind of reminds me of like Tatiana the Illustrious or something like
the
that.
Voluminous.
You know what I mean?
The Voluminous, baby. Yeah. And Volstagg is the man. In fact, in the whole Agent of Asgard, what's the other one? The Agent of Asgard, when Loki, that we talked about a lot on the Loki show, Volstagg becomes King of Asgard at one point.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. Yep. No, Volstagg is dope, yo. He got a family, he got a wife, he got all these kids, and they love him. You know, he's like one of the few relationships. He ain't slapping his wife, you know, and they actually have a loving relationship.
Right.
Volstagg is the man.
Well, you know, in this, just thinking about the whole Thor mythology and then just the overall story again, with this changing happening, does this also mean Odin's alive? Or he had not gone into his Odin sleep? Well, he did go into Odin sleep, but I don't know if he's
he probably went deep into it when his son got murked. Like, that was the end of that. Like,
right, yeah. But he wasn't, like, dead like he died in Ragnarok. So.
No, not yet, but no, that's coming. Loki probably murked him off.
Damn, that's what I'm saying. You think, because this is not the redeemed Loki we know. This is the fucked up Loki.
Yeah. So murking his dad off is not, not out of the question.
Shit. Maybe Mom's still alive, Frigga's still alive?
Maybe. Possibly.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any other Easter eggs or comments or inspirations you want to mention, Ben?
It's best not to think about Frigga. That's what I do want to mention right there. And no, I think we're good. Like we said, this episode was not the deepest, not the, most voluminous episode of them all. It was just, a nice little episode. And for me, the comedy was enough. The comedy of, that man sitting in that cell talking about how he don't miss fire after Thor slumped over there. He said the arrow in his chest looks, he's like, I didn't shoot.
He said the arrow says otherwise. Well.
Oh, man.
So that is the end of our review of episode 3 of What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. This, again, is Views from the 616. Thank you for listening. If you liked what you hear, I know you did because you're still here, make sure you do a few things for me. Make sure you are following us, subscribe to us, whatever the button says on your favorite podcast platform. You have to subscribe or follow and rate and do all sorts of great things for us on your favorite podcast platform by searching for All Nerds. That's how you get Views from the 616. Be sure you're also following us on social media. You can find all of us here in the collective at For All Nerds, as well as at Views from 616. You can also follow us individually. DJ Ben Amin up top. Myself, Tatiana King at TatianaKing. I never spell out my name, but I did it today. As mentioned at the beginning, make sure you are getting your loot crates if you want really fire, like if you're into like just random geek merch, like socks and figurines and all sorts of stuff. Like look at that really fire Groot figure that Ben has. Make sure you're going to lootcrate.com. Use our code FANSHOW15 for 15% off your loot crate. As you heard with Ben Amin's classic Manscaped episode, we also have a promo going on with Manscaped. What is it? Is it For All Nerds?
For All Nerds. Use the code on manscaped.com and get 20% off anything plus free shipping.
Anything and free shipping in the Manscaped store.
Yep.
And we have other ways to support us. You see this beautiful want to F around and find out shirt that I'm wearing, the Miss Minutes design, as well as our Views from 616 designs and all of a litany of other beautiful designs in our TeePublic store. Hit that up for you to get yourself some merch. That could be t-shirts, mugs, book bags, books, phone cases, pillows, whatever you want is probably there. teepublic.com/stores with an S /For All Nerds to get your beautiful items there. People who are our Patreon fam, you get a special code that only for you. Do not tell anybody this code, okay? But you get a code to help you get some more merch. Just saying. But, you don't have to even sneak the code around. You could just become a Patreon person, right? Just go to patreon.com/For All Nerds and be that. Because is our lowest tier $1 at this point or $2?
It's low.
We have a very super low tier. It's a monthly patronage that you provide, and you get all sorts of goodies depending on the level you're on. But all the levels do get some form of privilege, let's say that. So make sure you are on there. And as usual, thank you to the fam that are in the chat. What up? We see you. We love you. Twitch.tv/For All Nerds. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining us once again. Did I miss anything, Ben Ami?
I don't think you missed anything, but, I do want to give a special shout out today, Sunday, August 29th, as we record. This is my father's birthday. So happy born day to my big birthday. Papa.
Papa Ben Amin.
Papa Big Daddy Ben Amin for bringing me into the world all those years ago. Thank you very much for everything else you've done for me too as well. Shout out to all the daddies out there. You know how we do.